All right, what's up, everyone? So, today, obviously, new environment. Uh, Jamila is out with a friend, and it's too far to drive home and then drive right back to pick her up and drive right back home. So, and I really wanted to do this video today. I feel like it's not going to take that long. Yeah, we are outside today. Please excuse the music that might be playing in the background and the birds tweeting and some cars moving through. We are going to push all past that. And today, what I want to talk to y'all about is a term that I was introduced to maybe about 2.5 years ago by my friend Anna Real. If y'all don't follow her YouTube channel, shout out to you, Anna. If you're watching this, you should definitely check her YouTube channel out. She is an INFJ, and she actually has a lot of great resources. She does her research. She's an Enneagram 1, a perfectionist, and she actually, I would say, a recovering perfectionist, and all of that. And so there's a lot of things that I feel like a lot of people could learn from her. She has her own struggles in certain ways, and she's vulnerable with them, and she's always looking for good connections. So y'all should definitely check out her channel. But yeah, about 2.5 years ago, she and I were talking and texting, and I was explaining a lot about, my process, which for many of you who may not know my process, essentially, I'm the type of person who's always psychoanalyzed my attraction. So this is gonna sound very weird to y'all. Maybe it won't sound weird to you since, if you've been rocking with me for a long time. So I'm the type of person that as soon as I see that I'm attracted to someone or that I'm drawn to someone, I'm kind of more interested in my attraction to the person and like dissecting why that is a lot of times, as opposed to the person, until I actually start to really engage with the person, for example. So for that reason, I was the type, especially after getting into the relationship with Jamila and getting married and everything, I was the type to try to really understand. And this is candid concepts, so I'm gonna be vulgar here, or not intentionally vulgar, but I'm gonna be real. So hopefully this isn't too much for y'all. I'm not gonna give unnecessary detail, but I feel like this is necessary. Like, I'm the type of person that, like, okay, I just caught an erection off of reading my friend's poem. What the heck is going on over here? Like, this has nothing to do with me being sexual with her and whatnot. Like, but for whatever reason, like, whenever I'm texting this friend, then boing, like, what is that? And me and this person are never like flirting with each other. Like, what's going on? Which, come to find out, a lot of this, and this was happening like with, like a few people that I felt like closest to, and I realized it was because in my mind, essentially, because intimacy is the most beautiful and promising and fulfilling thing for me, then whenever I felt like somebody was metaphorically spreading their legs open, and inviting me, invitation is everything, consent is everything, and metaphorically inviting me to enter them and penetrate and all of that, and like further build an intimacy, then that was really titillating for me in a way. That was very satisfying for me. And this obviously was not, explicitly sexual. This could be with them, like, sharing a poem with me, because like when this friend, for example, there was one friend who I specifically psychoanalyzed this the most with, and then that's what led to a whole bunch of different like realizations. I started looking up stuff like quasi-platonic dynamics, where it's like, no, I know that this is platonic, and this is actually what sprung my whole series of like, oh, there's different types of love. There's like, you can have intimacy in a platonic dynamic kind of thing, because I was able to psychoanalyze all of this. So yeah, that really sprung me into like thinking, because especially like, as a Christian, I was like, oh my gosh, like, am I lusting after this person? But like, we're not talking about anything sexual. I don't even if they wanted to send nudes, I'd be like, no, I don't want to see them. Like, there was just stuff like that. And so I really had to like dig into myself and be honest with myself and see a lot of times like, okay, what's going on over here? Why am I drawn to certain people? Why am I attracted? And again, that's one example. There's other examples where it's like, I could show up at like one time we were at an open mic, and there was a lot of people over there, but there was one specific girl that was like just sitting off in a corner. She was just in her own little world, mind her own business, whatever. And she had a certain vibe to her that I was like, oh, that's what's up. So at one point I asked Jamila, I was like, yo, what type do you think that girl is over there? And Jamila was like, your type? And I was like, what do you mean by that? And she was like, I mean like your type as in like the type of vibe that you're attracted to. And I was like, wait, are you really saying that? She was like, yeah, like as soon as I walked in and I saw her, I was like, Denzel probably has like a mini crush on her kind of thing. And that was something that me and Jamila were able to like laugh at. Obviously, I don't know the girl. I never went to go talk to her. I didn't have any interest in really like talking to her. If anything, I was just more interested in like, okay, how come everybody in the room, I was like attracted to this person in this way? So yeah, as you can see, like this is a thing for me where it's like, okay, if I'm drawn to somebody, if I'm attracted to someone, I want to understand why that is. And it's to the point where like even on my phone, I have like a list of like random things, like not even like attributes, but like even like physical things like appearance that kind of tell, okay, like these are patterns of things I've been attracted to, like people with red hair, whether it's artificially, like whether it's dyed or whether it's like natural, like for whatever reason, like they make me do a double take kind of thing, just like admire their beauty in a certain type of way, like people of this certain type of figure, stuff like that. And it's trying to catch the pattern of what I'm aesthetically pleased by. And then even then going to like why, it's like, okay, I think that maybe this red hair thing started from back when I started watching Victorious. Ariana Grande played Cat Valentine, and I had this humongous crush on Ariana Grande. And so now maybe every time I see people with red hair, then I associate them kind of like with Ariana Grande or Cat Valentine in that way, and that's just stuck with me in some certain way. Maybe even like with Lindsay Lohan, like as a child, or as she said recently in her new TikTok, her name is pronounced Lindsay Lohan. I don't know, but yeah, stuff like that. All of that to say, because I think so much about my attraction from a meta perspective, this term notosexual was very fascinating to me, because it explained a major part of my attraction. So, we all know what a sapiosexual is, and for those who don't know, essentially, it's someone who is very attracted to intelligence, And to me, I think that everybody is a sapiosexual to an extent. We all find intelligence to be attractive, You don't want to be with a dumb person kind of thing. So like, I think that we all are sapiosexuals to an extent. So everybody would probably claim like, oh, I'm a sapiosexual. I think that in order to further separate it then, so that it's not just something that everybody just says that they are, but it's actually like a category that would make sense, I think that it's probably someone who is solely attracted to intelligence in a way. Like there's people who are attracted to intelligence, but they cannot be with somebody who is not intelligent in the way they think of it, Whereas like there's people who are attracted to intelligence, but they don't have to have an intelligent partner, whatever that might mean to you. So I think that a true sapiosexual is somebody who's like fully like, really just attracted to somebody that's really intelligent. We know what a demisexual is. These are people who they cannot be romantically attracted to or even sexually attracted to you just by how you look and everything. Like they have to like really get to know you, and then all of a sudden that's when any type of attraction like really shows up. We know, like what there's like pansexual out there where it's like pretty much like, hey, I can fall in love with or be attracted to anyone, whether it's man, woman, transgender, whatever it might be. And I'm just, into you in that way. Again, like these are all like in a nutshell. Asexuals don't experience sexual attraction. So in the same sense that they don't see someone and then ever get aroused by that person, you know how some people, they'll actually like get hungry and be like, I'm craving hot dogs, like asexuals, they won't get hungry and be like, I'm craving like a tall, man with blue eyes kind of thing. Pretty much, like, from my understanding, that's how it is in a nutshell. Instead, it's just more of like, oh, I'm hungry, I gotta have something to eat. So asexuals still have sex, but it's not something that's like, oh, I have a craving for this. Like if we're making sex food, like I have a craving for this food. Instead, it's just more of like, oh, I'm hungry, I need to eat. And sometimes that might even involve a vibrator or whatever it might be. So there's that. And then we have like the aromantic. So there's a lot, obviously you can go through the whole list. But what is a notosexual, Denzel? Okay. A notosexual is essentially someone who finds attraction to a person solely by their mental landscape. And so what I mean by that is that instead of it being like a sapiosexual who's mainly attracted to a person because of their intelligence, a notosexual is attracted to a person, and the person doesn't even have to be intelligent. It could be creativity. It could be just literally the way, or metaphorically, the way that the person organizes their mind. So it has to do with personality, but it also has to do a lot with just the way that, like, if everyone's mind was a house, then the notosexual is the person who, when they come into the house, they're like, whoa, I really love how you decorated in here. I really love where you put all of the furniture. I really love where you put, all of the pictures that you've hung up, and like, wow, like I love how you painted the walls. Like everything about the house and the way that the person like set it up is very appealing. So essentially, the notosexual is attracted to the way that somebody has refurbished their mind, or has decorated their mind in a way. Again, it doesn't have to do with intelligence. That doesn't mean that the notosexual is turned off, obviously, by intelligence. There's an aspect of sapiosexuality there, because just like everyone, I believe that we all are attracted to intelligence, But for the notosexual, this person doesn't have, like, the person that they're attracted to does not necessarily have to be intelligent. It just literally has to be like, oh, I'm fascinated with your mind, period. And that could once again be like just the way that the person thinks in general, or the way that the person, maybe even like having to do with like personality. For me, and a lot of times it's like, even as I'm like profiling, it's like, wow, like the person might not be necessarily intelligent in my mind or like super smart or anything, but just the way that their mind works differently maybe from like how other ENFPs that I know might, use their mind. It's like, oh, this is very fascinating. It's like, I want to explore more. I'm intrigued by you in a way. Now, obviously, there's levels to this type of attraction. For me, I know that this a lot of times has even come up with authors, like when I would be reading a certain person's, like kind of like how I mentioned, like with my friend's poetry and everything like that. There's certain writers that I would like be reading, and I'm just like so enamored by just how beautifully their mind works to create a certain story, or how they put certain words together, or how they expressed themselves in a certain way. And that's like, wow, like this is so beautiful. And it's like, I don't even know how this person looks like, but I find myself intrigued by them. And like I said, that since there's different levels, I think that that's like the lowest level, obviously, because even then, like, an author like Lemony Snicket or even C.S. Lewis, for me, has been one that I've like had a mental crush on kind of thing, or notosexual crush on in a way. It's like, but I'm more attracted to the way that their mind worked in a sense. But then the funny thing is, for me, once again, I'd say that the limitations are three things that I've discovered. So, number one, if you are underage, that's a no-no for me. However, like if you're like overage, like if you're like even like 50 or higher or whatever, like I could see that like being something that like I'm drawn to. But if for whatever reason I'm like reading your whatever, and then I find out that like you're underage, that's an immediate like turn off for me in that sense, as it should be. Number two, I also believe that like just personally because I'm straight, then as soon as I might realize that the person is a male, for example, it's just immediate flaccid. like like I'm still intrigued mentally, but obviously like any kind of like erotic attraction and any kind of like even probably a romantic attraction that might have been seated over there is immediately eradicated, because and it's obviously there's no problem with homosexual people, but I just am not. So I'm just not attracted to men in that manner. And then lastly, even though with notosexuality, obviously like I said with the authors and everything like that, it doesn't have to do with how the person looks, it's more about their mental landscape. If I come to see that the person is like absolutely hideous in my perception, then I can't help, once again, all three of these things, I can't help it. I just lose the attraction, because it would be too much of a distraction, and I know that sounds like really messed up and mean to say, and for what it's worth, I very, very, very rarely see absolutely hideous people. Like, I think that there's very attractive people, and then there's like, average people, and there's people who are not that good looking. But hideous is like I can deal with all of that, but then hideous is just like, oh my goodness, like you really have a lot going on that it's just so distracting that I just can't even get an erection from you if I'm seeing and picturing your face. Oh, that sounds so messed up, but it's true. So essentially, for me as a notosexual, this is my experience. And again, like, this could even come with like, celebrities, like where it's like, oh, I'm like listening to them and I'm exploring like, like I'm hearing like how they're describing their internal experience, and or even like, as they're like making certain songs, like if they wrote the song themselves and they're talking about themselves in a certain way, and the way they put things together, stuff like that. Even with like RP writing, like there's a whole section on Twitter, for example, where like people are role playing, and they like everybody's anonymous, like nobody knows who's who, because they're all like masqueraded as different characters that they've either created or that they're playing like from television shows and movies and stuff like that, and then you kind of use your character as like a self-insert or as like an action figure of some sort, and then you're kind of like engaging with the person, and your character and their character like writing stories together, and you can learn a lot about a writer based off of like how they're like being able to portray their character, and then it's like, oh wow, once again, I don't even know 100% if this person is a like true, like if the writer is truly like a male or a female, like they'll usually put it in their description or their bio, but at the end of the day, like you don't 100% really know. You don't even know like what the person looks like. You usually do know like, okay, like this person's like of age and stuff like that. But yeah, all of that to say, it's like you can see all of that, and then you'd be able to like identify like, oh wow, like I'm drawn or I'm attracted to this person, or I'm intrigued by this person because of the way that their mental landscape is like and how they write and stuff like that. And I think that is all essentially what a notisexual is made up of. So obviously, there's a lot of sexuals going around in the world. One might even ask, like, well, what's the difference between a notisexual and a demisexual? Some might not even still understand what the difference is between a notisexual and a sapiosexual might be. Some might even be like, oh, well, then I'm all of the above. Maybe you are. I've noticed that a lot of people try to take on these terms because they think that it kind of makes them seem cooler. Like, I know people who claim to be demisexual and sapiosexual who I personally do not believe that they are. But they like to post all of the memes and stuff like that. Mainly because I guess they feel like they're making themselves more valuable in this way. Like, yeah, I'm a sapiosexual, so I'm only attracted to intelligent people and this, that, which is like, I've seen the people that you've dated and gawked over. That's not really true because that person is not intelligent. They're not dumb, but they're also not like exuding some type of like high status acumen. You know what I'm saying? You just might be attracted to intelligence in general, but it's not a key trait of who you are. And then the demisexual thing, it's like, okay, I've seen, once again, like, you've got over like a whole bunch of Instagram models, for example, that you don't know anything about them except how they look. That is not demisexual behavior. So yeah, but anyway, that's what my thoughts on the term notisexual is. Let me know what y'all think. Do you know notisexual? Are you a notisexual? Do you feel like this word is unnecessary and it falls apart and you can pick it apart and somehow, which maybe you can. Because honestly, I just wanted to share my experience with it and my thoughts about it. But at the end of the day, I didn't coin the term. I just kind of found it where I was presented it, and I was like, hey, this kind of explains my experience, and so therefore I'm going to share it with people. If you haven't checked out my video on sex and purity culture and over-sexualization, check that out. I talk a lot about like more of my own thoughts toward sexual things, and once again, I was very candid. So if that's not your thing, don't check it out. But yeah, let me know if y'all relate or don't relate. Let me know what y'all think about it, and done.
Hey, I just wanted to briefly thank you for taking the time to watch this video, whether it was on regular speed or 2x speed, whatever it was. Just thank you for consuming the content. And around me, you should be able to see a few little buttons and logos for other recommended videos, because, I make good content, new ones, but then I also have some really good old content too that you should probably check out. But make sure that if you really like this video, feel free to subscribe, to share. It really helps this humble channel to expand and reach more people and ultimately help more people. So once again, thanks for watching, and hope you have a great rest of your day.